So this is what's happening currently. When I go to turn the key, you can hear the fuel pump turn on, but then you got nothing and it sticks. See if you can see that. And now it won't even go further than that. So I think either the barrel is shot or the ignition switch behind it is. So I'm gonna have to take the steering wheel off, get to the barrel. I'm gonna show you exactly how to pull the ignition barrel out to get to the switch. And this will help you if you need to replace this or the switch, or actually even the turn signal or wiper stock as well. So let's get to it. First of all, you probably just want to unplug your battery just in case, and I have an issue with mine. I'm assuming it's the grounding, but this needs to be taken care of. But in order to access your battery, you have to pop your back seat up, which I've already done. So this is a 1/2-inch wrench on mine to take the negative off. So first things first, if you have the stock steering wheel, this just kind of pops out. Like that. Make sure you pop it out on both sides. And then you're gonna twist it and take it off. And now the horn wire will be connected too. And then you have to twist it because of this here. So I'm gonna just disconnect the horn wire. And then we'll go get a socket for this. So the nut we have to take off now is a 24 mil. So I'm just gonna use my impact. Take it off. And now my wheel will just slide off. And if you have any problems with it being stuck on, you can always put the nut back on and kind of like jiggle it like this a little bit and pull it out. That way you don't like rip it up onto your face. Or you might have to use a steering wheel puller, but I've never had any issues pulling mine off like this. Now we just have to take these 4 screws off, which apparently on mine is only 3. I'm missing one. You need to unplug these wires here. That way you can take that assembly out. Now once you have those 3 or 4 screws off, this should just kind of wiggle up. Okay, so this just popped right off. So let's see if we can go ahead and take the barrel out without taking this assembly off. So this piece here, I don't really know what it does, but I'm gonna pull it out. It's in the second notch right there. Looks like this. Went in like this way. I see a pinhole here, and I think with that pinhole, if you turn the key, this should come out. It should release that lock mechanism that holds this in. There is a plug that plugs into the ignition switch, and it looks like this. I just went ahead and unplugged that, hoping that the barrel with the switch will come out together. If not, we'll have to figure out how to take this switch off. It's literally right here where my finger is. You can kind of see the prongs. There's a pinhole right in this cut here, which I don't think you can see. I'm gonna put my pick in that pinhole, turn the key, and try and pull that lock cylinder out. So all you have to do is put some kind of thing in this hole here to push the retaining pin down, this thing right here, and it kind of just slides right out. I don't think I actually had to turn the key on this one, which is kind of odd, but I kind of had to help it out pulling it out, kind of had to put a screwdriver between this and the head of this and kind of just like set it there and poke it out to help it like slide out, because it's been a while since I've replaced this. It's probably been at least 10 years since my original one went out. So I think this one's fine. I really do think it's my ignition switch. I've never replaced it. So now I have to figure out how to get that switch out. And I don't really know how, so I'm gonna look at it real quick and see what we can do. But if you just need to replace this, pretty much take this out, get your new one, slide it back in, and reassemble. But I need to take it a step further. What you're gonna wanna do is drop the steering column, which there's 2 screws right up here, one there and one there. Mine look like this, and they're a 6 hex bolt. So I have those 2 off. So now I can drop the column some. Okay, so it took some fiddling, but finally got the assembly out. Tyler actually ended up getting it for me. He basically pressed this upwards on the back and pulled it out. It was kind of stuck in there. So once you have your snap ring out, you can take this off. Literally sits on the edge around here, and then this will come off, this plastic retaining pin, I guess, basically.
It's like a spacer.
It's like a spacer or whatever it's used for, and then you can kind of jiggle this piece off.
Easiest way to take it off is to get a screwdriver into like one of the spots and slowly pry it up from the sides. It's easier to go this way.
On the spacer, you're saying?
Yeah, so if you can get a screwdriver in and slowly press it up, this thing will start to come out like that.
Now that you got this off, you can access the set screw right here. So we'll take that off and put the new one on. Here's the new one to the old one. As you can tell, this one's pretty worn down on this side here. And it actually looks like it cracked right here as well. So we're gonna pop the new one back in and hopefully it works. So here's the set screw, this little baby. What we're gonna do is take this, slide it in, kind of pops in there nice and snug. Take the set screw and screw it back in here. Alright. So we got it back in. Now we're gonna put it back together. Also, before you put the metal piece on, make sure your cover's on first, because I almost just forgot. We figured out in order to put this in, this here, this button is actually gonna be in the middle.
Press it outwards.
When you have it out, what you're gonna wanna do is press it outwards, and then this will just literally shove right in. We put a little grease on it just in case. But I don't think the grease did anything. You just have to push this pin outwards, because when you press that in, it can move, and boop, popped right in. Now the spacer that we took off goes back on, and then we'll put our snap ring back in. So now what I'm gonna do is plug the ignition back in. And put the lock cylinder in real quick before I put everything together and make sure that the car starts. I mean, you can already tell that the key is already better. Like, it bounces back. Whereas before, as you saw, it was getting stuck. So, hopefully that was the only issue. But I just need to plug the battery back in and then we can see it starts up. So now that you have the snap ring back in, right here, we're gonna go ahead and install the wiper and turn signal arms again.
A little hard to do one-handed, I assume. Here, let me get this.
Well, it's the tubes. I gotta go through those 2 holes. in there. There it goes. So now that this is somewhat in here, I'm gonna go ahead and bolt my steering column back up, and then we will assemble everything else. So now we're gonna put this pin in, which I did find out, I think it's to turn the blinker on and off. So we're gonna slide it in here. I think you kind of have to jiggle this out of the way, so we're gonna go ahead and put the turn signal and wiper signal all the way back. Grab our 4 bolts, which is what you should have, but I have 3. Get the longest screwdriver you can find.
You really need to torque those down.
Okay, make sure that's definitely not a hole. Let's see. Make sure you put that piece in. Try and line up your first screw, which I can't. So I lined up this top right one first because I could see the hole back here. So I'm hoping that the other ones are pretty much aligned. This one I had some trouble with. I had to screw it into the plastic. Now again, you're supposed to have a 4th one there. I only have 3. Maybe you only have 2. It's old. You're bound to miss some. Then it will slowly start to suck in, and then you just kind of snug them. You don't want to over tighten them. So now that this is on, you can go ahead and plug your 3 connectors up. The chunky ones for the ignition switch that we just replaced. So I took my cover off, the wire cover, so I'm going to put this back on once you have all 3 plugged back in and your steering rack is tightened back up. I've always found that this is very difficult for me to put on and off. So that you got everything tightened on, you can slip your steering wheel on.